Hey guys, what is going on? We got a Thursday night football matchup, a short week for these two NFC East teams, or should I say, these two NFC Beast teams. We got the Giants versus the Washington football team. So this game, it's going to be an interesting one. Both these teams are 0-1, and I guess you could say tied for last place in the NFC East because the Eagles are in first place in the NFC East. Just, as all of us expected, the Eagles to be in first place in the NFC East. And the Giants, I believe, had a worse loss week 1 than the Washington football team. Washington football team, they played a solid Chargers team. A Chargers team I really think can make the playoffs and make a really solid playoff run. I think Herbert is going to be an MVP candidate. So they had a pretty close loss, a 4-point loss to a pretty good team, a very good team in my opinion. The Giants, on the other hand, there were barely any positives you could take out of that loss. Really, there were no positives you could take out of that loss. And the only reason I am a tiny little bit optimistic about this game as a Giants fan is simply because the Giants are playing the Washington football team. And that's not to be mean or to take a jab or whatever at the Washington football team. No, that's not it at all. It's just for some reason, Daniel Jones beats the Washington football team. It's like the only team he can beat. I don't know why. Because they had a really good defense last year and they're going to have a really good defense again this year. But for some reason, Daniel Jones can beat the Washington football team. I don't know why, because the Washington football team can beat so many good teams. I literally have the Washington football team beating the Buccaneers later this season. I said that in my NFC East prediction video. I said I thought Ryan Fitzpatrick would be the one to beat Brady. Now it doesn't look like Fitzpatrick is going to be able to play that game because of his hip. But Washington is a very good team and they can beat very good teams. So it kind of doesn't make sense how Daniel Jones beats this team, but he seems to. Last season, there were two very close games between these teams. The Giants won both of them. The first one, they won 20-19, so a 1-point game. The second game, they won 23-20, so another really close game. Not even a 7-point difference in these games. It was so close. The defense has obviously been the strength for both these teams throughout the past season. But the problem is, the Giants defense really didn't look good on Sunday versus the Denver Broncos offense. They really did not look good. Teddy B was just getting whatever he wanted. He was throwing it to whoever he wanted, just picking apart that secondary, really. I mean, the run defense was solid, but the rush was not getting there, and the Giants defense just did not look like a strength. I think the biggest issue with this Washington football team defense this past weekend was how they couldn't give the ball back to their offense. But I think part of that is how aggressive the Chargers were on that drive. They didn't want to give the ball back to Washington's offense, and they were really not trying to just run out the clock. They were throwing it, and Washington couldn't get the stop there. The defense could not get the stop. So that's what I would say was the biggest negative from the Washington defense this past week, that they couldn't get the big stop that they needed. But besides that, I feel like they did a pretty solid job versus Herbert. They picked him off once. So, listen, I don't think the Washington defense played terrible this past weekend. Yeah, I know it stinks that they lost, but they didn't play terrible. So, in this game, I think the Giants defense needs to, first of all, make tackles, because they weren't making their tackles this past Sunday. That's first off. You need to play fundamental football. First off, let's just nail down the fundamentals here. You gotta make your tackles. The other thing they gotta do is make sure you contain Gibson. Do not let Gibson go get over 100 yards. He's a very talented running back, right? But I say the Giants need to not let him just run all over them, because the run defense is a good part of this Giants defense. The run defense is good for the Giants, so they need to have the good unit on their defense play good, you know what I mean? I think they gotta force Heineke to throw the ball. Not that I'm saying Heineke's bad, but have it so the run game is not working. Put that pressure on Heineke. Also, they gotta get some pressure. They gotta get just some pressure there. They gotta figure out a way to get some pressure on the quarterback, because that was a huge issue for the Giants on Sunday. They just couldn't get pressure there. They were giving Teddy B so much time. They gotta get pressure on Heineke and just make that pocket collapse. at some points at least. I mean, it was crazy. That's probably why the secondary was playing so bad, because just too much time to throw the ball. Washington football team, defensive line, versus this Giants offensive line should be interesting. So coming into the season, the Giants offensive line was a big concern for me. But weirdly enough, they played solid. They played solid on Sunday. They weren't the worst part of the team on Sunday, which was kind of surprising. But I still think this Washington football team defensive line has a huge advantage over this Giants offensive line. I mean, this Washington defensive line is one of the best defensive lines in football, if not the best defensive line. I mean, that defensive line is so scary. So the Giants got to figure out a way to make sure Daniel Jones has, just a few seconds to throw the ball, because if he doesn't, it's not going to be good. And Nate Solder, I think, needs some help over there on the right side. You got to bring Rudolph in, Caden Smith to help block with Nate Solder over there, because Nate Solder, he did not look good versus Von Miller. So I think this defensive line for the Washington football team could really have a field day versus this Giants offensive line. People keep saying, oh, the Giants can't lose to a backup quarterback Thursday night. They just can't do that. But the thing is, Heineke isn't that bad. Heineke is a solid quarterback. He played well in the playoffs versus the Buccaneers, and he played solid versus the Chargers on Sunday when he was just thrown into the middle of the game. His stats were he was 11 of 15 with 122 passing yards and 1 touchdown this past weekend versus the Chargers, after not getting any first team reps that week because Fitzpatrick was the starter. So that's like a pretty solid stat line for a backup QB who was just thrown into the game unexpectedly. And, he can get things done with his legs too. He's pretty mobile back there. He's a playmaker. He can make plays happen. So I am a little concerned as a Giants fan about Heineke. I'll say that. I think he can really get things done. Logan Thomas is another player on the Washington football team who I think could have a big game. The Giants really struggled covering Noah Fant last weekend. And Logan Thomas, he didn't have an outstanding game versus the Chargers, but he did have a touchdown that Heineke did throw to him. So maybe they have a little chemistry there. And Logan Thomas is just a really solid tight end. I mean, I don't think he's like in the top 3 or anything like that. Like, I think we all know who those top 3 guys are. But listen, Logan Thomas is a solid tight end. He can make some crazy catches in the end zone. So look out for Logan Thomas in this game. Daniel Jones' last game versus the Washington football team, he was 23 of 34. He threw for 212 yards and 1 touchdown. So Daniel Jones in this game, Daniel Jones has really made me frustrated this week. I just gotta say that. Daniel Jones has really made me frustrated. Watching Daniel Jones has been extremely frustrating for these past 2 years. I need him to not make stupid mistakes with the ball. I need him to know to slide. Like, how difficult is that? That's the thing that irks me the most. Like, how do you not know how to slide? How do you not know when to slide? You're in year 3. You don't know how to slide? On first down? Like, how do you not know that? He needs to not turn over the ball, first of all. Like, no interceptions, no fumbles, nothing. Play a clean game, but I also need him to play relaxed. He seems like he's playing nervous, like he's afraid to make a mistake. And then I think that's how you make a mistake, is when you're afraid to make a mistake and you're thinking about making a mistake, then you make a mistake. So Daniel Jones needs to play this game loose. He needs to remember, I've beat this team before, okay. And just play loose and not just look so like tense out there and like he's just trying so hard not to make a mistake. He has to trust his arm, but it's just frustrating watching him. I can't lie. And I think the Giants really got to let Saquon Barkley start running the ball now in a rhythm. They were taking him in and out of last game because, it was a short week with this game coming up on Thursday night. They didn't want to overexert him or anything coming back from that ACL injury, which I understand. But, this is the Thursday night game now. There's not going to be a game for a while. Let's see if he can gain some momentum. Keep him in for, more than 1 snap at a time. Like, keep him in for a whole drive and see how he does, because I think he still needs to get, into the groove of things a little more, just like momentum of being in the game and having multiple snaps in a row. And I think he just needs to break off one of those big Saquon Barkley runs. I think that's going to be huge for this team when that happens. I think that's going to be huge for him when that happens. And the Giants just got to try to keep this Washington football defense honest. They can't have this Washington football defense overcompensating in any area. So if Saquon could look more like Saquon this week, that would be really, really big for the Giants. And obviously, I have written in all caps here, better play calling. Like, please, Jason Garrett, what if we had a wide receiver or tight end run more than 10 yards? What if that happened? That would be like so crazy, right? Please throw the ball down the field. Please take chances, because I can't deal with the 10-yard routes, the curl routes. I can't deal with it anymore. That's also so frustrating to watch. So please, try to do something creative. Maybe play Kadarius Toney actually. Maybe actually throw to Kenny Golladay when it's not garbage time. I don't know. Maybe try those things out. So with that being said, my prediction for this game. So I'm gonna have to go with the Giants, even though I kind of don't want to, because I don't want to disappoint myself. But listen, it's the Washington football team. If Daniel Jones were to have a good game, it would be versus the Washington football team. So I'm going to go with a final score prediction of 17-16. That's my final score prediction. I think it's going to be a really, really close game. Honestly, I would not be surprised at all if the Giants lost. Would I be surprised if they lost? No, not at all. Would I be surprised if the Giants lost by like 3 scores? No, I wouldn't at all, because now I'm just not going to let anything surprise me, because the Giants have just been insanely disappointing for the past 4 years of my life. So yeah, guys, that is it for this video. Make sure to drop a like. Let me know what you think about this game down below. Who do you have winning? Let me know if you're a Washington football team fan. I'm curious what you think of this game. And yeah, guys, that's it. Subscribe. Peace.